Welcome back to my new reading log. So this time's reading log, it's going to be all about first impression with first volume, and we're going to start with Toradora. It is story by Yoyoko Takamiya and art by Zeko, the first volume. I'm going to be honest, this story is very chaotic and very enthusiastic. We have our two main characters named Ryu and Taiga. Now, when it comes to Ryu, a lot of the classmates find him very intimidating and he always hears a lot of bad things. It's because of his eyes. I think he has like that thing called Sampaku eyes. And then when it comes to Taiga, she's very petite but very also intimidating because she has that tough girl attitude. And so these two at first didn't like each other, and then one day Ryu found like an empty love letter that was from Taiga, but Taiga has a big crush on Ryu's friend while Ryu has a big crush on Taiga's friend. So these two decide to work together and team up so this way they can get closer to the people they have a crush on. And on top of that, Ryu and Taiga actually live across each other, but then not Ryu, my god, I'm getting all the names mixed up, but Taiga actually live by herself. And so Taiga, oh my god, so Ryu went to her place one day and it was absolutely disgusting. It looks like Ryu's very like into cleanliness, and now that he knows that she lives by herself, he does like invite her to have dinner instead of going to different places. So the main focal point of this story is these two are teaming out so this way they can have a plan to get closer to the people they have crush on. It's very chaotic, very fun, very super wordy, I'm gonna be honest. But other than that, it's not bad of a first volume. At first I was like, I'm not sure if I like this kind of story. It's just super chaotic in my opinion. But I think I'm going to keep reading and see where the story goes. And that is why nowadays I only try to get the first one in case I don't like it. So yeah, Toradora, not bad so far. I think there's an anime. I'm not quite sure. But other than that, it's fun. It's just very chaotic for me. A lot of things happening at the same time. But you know what? I feel like Ryu and Taiga might be... I feel like the more they get closer to each other, I feel like they might end up having a crush on each other instead of their original crush. But anyway, yeah, not bad for a first volume. Okay, we have another first volume. This one's called My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. I like this one. It's fun. I think it's because it's just easy and such a breeze to read. We have our two main characters. Yamada again, Akane. Okay, so these two are gamers, but first we got Akane, who recently got dumped by his ex-boyfriend named Takuma, who is also a gamer. He actually introduced Akane to the gaming world, and then she was very, of course, hurt and heartbroken, and she wanted to attend this event just to show off herself to the ex-boyfriend. And then she bumped into Yamada. Yamada is apparently a very famous gamer, and then all of a sudden like these two started like kind of not really hang out. Like Akane invited Yamada for a drink, and apparently Yamada is still in high school and then Akane is in college. She was just venting to him about her ex-boyfriend, and suddenly she ended up being in his place because she kind of like fell asleep because she had too much drink or so. And ever since then, like Akane has been feeling, I don't know, I guess something very special towards Yamada. And time to time she does play with Yamada online with another character named Ruri or Riri. And then Ruri or Riri invited Yamada to a event in person. And then when she went to this event, at first she thought it was a girl, Riri or Ruri, but I think it's a guy because there was a guy who bumped into her, and of course she wasn't really feeling it. But when she saw Yamada, of course she was happy. But before that, she noticed that Riri and Yamada seemed close online, but I think Riri is a guy. But overall, I really like the story. It's fun. Again, it's such a breeze. And thanks to Lizzie for recommending this. I've seen this manga before. I thought it was just not my vibe, but you know what? I really like it. Now I wish I have the second volume because it was getting exciting since, she saw Yamada again, and I think Akane is, I don't know, Riri is also there, and there's another girl. Apparently she's probably part of the guild. So yeah, so they play this game. It has to do with guild, and yeah, it's really fun. I'm not really a gamer, but it's interesting to see this type of manga series. So let me just show you the inside. Sorry about it's kind of dark right now, but yeah, really cute story so far. I really like it. I like the fact that it's not such a rush, romance, because I'm sure this is a romance manga. But yeah, looking forward to read of this series. All right, let's continue with this first volume, first impression. So this one's called Virgin Love by Tina Yamashina. This was not bad of a story. So basically, you got Shoko, who is around 26 years old. She never fell in love or dated anyone because she's just mostly focused on her career. And then when she was in school, she went to an all-girls school, and she believed she may have a crush on someone, but it probably didn't last that long. And so she saw this ad that basically if you live in this house for a whole year, it's rent-free, and who knows, you might find someone you might like, or you might fall in love. So basically it's like a not a test, more like a research to see if these people can fall in love living for a year. And then she invited a guy named Tanaka who works at the bookstore, because she's always going to the bookstore to get some books, I guess, just to get like advice about life in general. And so Shoko and Tanaka, they're actually the same age. He is right there in the eyeglasses, and they both join. And then there's other two girls and two other guys. However, she may have like fallen to one of the guys, and I forgot his name. But the twist is he's only 19, and yet she's 26. So it seems like there's an age gap romance, but we'll see if she does end up with this young guy, or it is because Tanaka has a huge crush on Shoko, but of course Shoko doesn't know that. But on the other hand, Tanaka is very protective and very caring when it comes to Shoko, and yet Shoko is kind of oblivious, and sometimes she doesn't know like anything because she doesn't really know anything about love. But other than that, it's getting spicy because Shoko and this younger guy has kind of hit it off, and yeah, let's just say they started doing something. Let's just say first base. Hopefully that's not confusing. But yeah, not bad of a story. I've seen this title before. I decided to just grab the first volume. And yeah, I'm gonna definitely grab volume 2 because things are getting spicy with Shoko and the younger guy. So this is 16 and plus. And so let me show you guys the inside. I really like the illustration. Really beautiful. Such an easy to read. Yeah, let's just say Shoko is also a virgin because, again, she never dated anybody in her whole life for the past, 26 years or so. Yeah, so this is the younger guy. And at first I thought it was a girl, but it's a guy. I forgot his name. Oh, his name is K, I believe. But yeah, I don't want to show you the end because it might be a big spoiler. So yeah, definitely gonna get the second volume. I think this is only like a 5-volume series, so it's very short, and I prefer short series anyway. So yeah, looking forward to read of Virgin Love. Okay, what I have here is called The Elusive Samurai, story and art by Yusei Matsui. Really nice cover. This was actually fun to read, except it was very like enthusiastic, especially there's this priest who's actually taking care of Tokiyoki because his clan definitely got betrayed by a certain character, where he was supposed to go out there and defeated the enemy, but he came back and decided to betray the Hojo clan, which is where Tokiyoki is actually the last descendant. So after that whole chaos, he had to escape with a priest, and now he's living under this priest. He's not really a priest, but like he acts like one, and then he's like a clairvoyant because he can foresee the future, or he can predict the future. And he did told Tokiyoki that one day he will rule Japan once again, or his family's clan or so. Yeah, it's a fun to read, except I think the priest is just so enthusiastic and it's just out there, and now he's just training to be a good warrior because one day, like, of course he wants to get his his place back in the being a ruler. And for now, he's very good at running away, pretty much. Basically, like, he has the strength of being fast, but he needs to also learn other areas. And at the same time, the priest told him that he needs to go out there and get some retainers, basically like allies, in order for him to really go out there and defeat the enemy. So this area that they're staying right now, there's trouble because the enemy decided to send a certain character who's actually like is a spy, or who's trying to find Tokiyoki, and basically also trying to get rid of the rest of the Hojo clan who escaped during the war. Now the priest is worried because now he has a lot on his plate, especially he was trying to plan to train Tokiyoki, but now he has to make sure Tokiyoki is not be seen and get caught by this character who's also trying to act like a governor or the new leader of this area. And yeah, so it's gonna be a bigger challenge, but then the priest has a plan, because right now Tokiyoki is learning how to do archery, and then the guy who's acting like a governor, he's actually good at archery, so now he wants Tokiyoki to go out there and kind of spy on him and kind of like watch how he does his archery. It's like a win-win. However, it's also dangerous for Tokiyoki because he needs to be found by the enemy. But yeah, really not bad of a first volume. I like the fact that it's kind of like historical. I like the character design, except like this, like that's just too enthusiastic for me. That's the priest. But other than that, it's still a good read. I really like the first volume so far. I definitely want to keep going and see where it goes. And I heard there's an anime, so I definitely want to keep reading until I can watch the anime. We have another first volume. This one's called God Bless the Mistaken. Volume 1 is by Nakatani Neo. Now, this story is pretty interesting. It feels like the story, well, not the story, the setting is very different. Let's just say people have this thing called bug, where a lot of phenomenal happens around. For example, people can fly. That's another bug. And there was a time where everything was reversed. And then what was the other one? Oh, the first one was suddenly a lot of like overgrown trees and plants decide to appear. So it's a very interesting story. And then our main character, I forgot his name, of course, Khan, he actually lived with a shared house with other 3 people. That's actually his landlord. However, she doesn't feel the bug. So whenever something strange happens, like, it doesn't affect her. And she's also like a researcher and observer. And so time to time, she finds it kind of like fun. And she likes to observe how people are getting affected by this bug. So in other words, it's not a normal world, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting because anything can happen, especially when a bug happens, and it can be anything. So yeah, I really like this story so far. I think there's an anime, if I'm not mistaken. God bless the mistaken. But yeah, really cool first volume so far. I'm actually looking forward to read more. Let me just show you guys the first volume. Yeah, okay, let me see. I think here we go. Yeah, so that's Khan and the landlord. And then these are the housemates. There's actually one more right there. He's always sleeping. But yeah, really fun so far. It's interesting about this bug. Oh, like this. Like, that was the second bug. People are suddenly able to fly. And I think the third one was kind of confusing because everything was reversed. Or it was just like a mental thing. But yeah, that was a bit confusing. But yeah, at the same time, it was fun. The last bug was people think they see a certain animal, but it happened to be something different. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, let me know if you guys have read this. I think like I've heard of this manga because there's an anime. If not, I could be wrong. But yeah, this is probably one of the first volume that I actually like it so far, and I'm actually looking for it. So God bless the mistaken. All right. We finished Kagurabachi. It is story and art by Takeru Hokazono. Yes, I had this volume since last year, and I finally read it. I'm gonna say I very, very like it very much. It's just full of action. It's never a dull moment, except it's very, very gory. So we have our main character, Chihiro. Yes, he and his father run a shop that makes katana. Did I say that correct? Katana, the swords, famous swords back in the days. However, in this world, people use katana as their normal, I guess, weapon or protection. And when they sadly, well, something happened, you have this bunch of sorcerers, or yeah, there's like sorcery in the story. So you got a bunch of sorcerers decide to attack his family, and well, something happened to his father, as well as this famous 7 swords or 7 katana, and then 6 of them were stolen by the sorcerers, and now there's only 1 left, which Chihiro has it. So there was a war back in the days, and then these swords were used and basically ended the war, and I guess the enemy wanted these swords, and now the main goal is to retrieve them back and basically also avenge his father. Now he does have help here and there, but oh my god, this is just full of action. Again, it's very gory, and yes, the story is pretty interesting because you got people with power and you see people in the street just holding their own katana. Yeah, really good so far. I thought it was gonna be historical because, you know, katana, but you know what, I actually like it. Even though it's gory, it's just full of action. There's some, you know, funny moments, but yeah, really like it so far. The ending was so good because he's very close to finding one of the 6 swords that's missing, and he does meet this enemy who happened to have one of them. Okay, so let me show you guys the inside. Now be aware, whatever I'm gonna flip through, it might be like, again, very gory. Really, you know what, the illustration is very simple. I really like it. They do meet this girl because this girl is very special, but other than that, oh my god, really like the story. I did not expect that, to be honest, and that is why I can understand this manga was, I would say, a little bit hype, but you know, at the same time, very popular. All right, we have another first volume here. This one's called Nightfall Travelers Leave Only Footprints, story and art by Tomohi. This is a cute story about 2 girls who basically go around neighborhoods and kind of like investigate and reveal whether or not if there's like ghost stories in certain parts of the town. We got Ninamori and Amemura. They're both classmates, have the same class, but first they didn't really spoke to each other until Ninamori talked to her and kind of invited her to go out in the night with her, because Ninamori, the little girl right here, she's in the newspaper class, and then she finally got assigned to write something, and basically her assignment is to go each part of this neighborhood who has like ghost stories, and it's her job to basically go out there if it's true or not. But yeah, it's really fun and not very spooky, and it's kind of like a big adventure, you know, a journey as well for this too. They always seem to have a good time, but of course there's a moment where it's kind of scary, where, you know, it can be dangerous. But yeah, it's interesting because this town has just full of secrets, a lot of stairs, and a lot of like hidden passages. Yeah, it's really a nice read. I have another volume, and yeah, so far this volume's not bad. And other than that, yeah, it's just a great, like, you know, little mini adventure for them. They just have a blast being together, even though they spend together at nighttime. In school, they just do their own thing, but other than that, they just have a lovely time together. And in the middle of the volume, there's colored pages, which is really nice. They went through like all different like passages or hidden streets or neighborhoods, and until the end they realize like, oh, all this gossips or rumors about ghosts is not entirely true, because sometimes people just get scared and just assume like that's a ghost, but it's not really a ghost. So yeah, not bad for a first volume. I really like it so far. really cute story. All right, we have another first volume. Sorry about the noise. It's my dryer running right now. So this one's called Pasta Monsters Meet My Lady. Manga by Chika Mizubi. Created by Kanata Hoshi. Designed by Pepe Ron. It's actually a cute fantasy story all about monster, especially eating monster and hunting monster. So we have our two main character, Malfiria. She attended like a matchmaking banquet event where of course she kind of feel excluded because there's rumors about her that she likes to eat monster, and so everyone in this event are like nobles, and so she is a noble, and then suddenly there was a big monster decide to attack the event. Then we have our other main character, Galbraith. He's the Duke of Galbraith, and he also has like rumors about him because he likes to fight monsters while she likes to eat monsters. So you can tell they're like match made in heaven. And so after he slayed off the monster, they, you know, of course had a really nice conversation because she's very talkative when it comes about monster. And then she kind of told him that, yeah, I eat monster, I enjoy them as long they're, you know, prepped pretty well, because these monsters have, you know, poisons and toxic. And so he was very interested, and ever since then, like, of course these two can't stop thinking about each other because they just have that big in common. Like, he likes to fight monster and she likes to eat monster, and he's very curious about the monster that she cooks. And so one day after they went on their separate way, he decided to propose to her because, you know, I guess everything went well for them. And so he went to visit her land because she lives in a different area. Of course, she's excited to see him, and she is accepting the marriage proposal. And at the same time, like, they just can't wait to talk to each other about monster and just monster. Yeah, this story is really not bad. I really like it. It's kind of similar to Delicious in Dungeon, but they haven't really like started, you know, cooking the monster. But he did bring her like a gift that's, of course, it's a monster, and now she's gonna show him where she does all her cooking and butchering. She had like a place called laboratory, but it's mostly from her mom's laboratory, but then her mom already passed away, and so of course she has like a step of it. But anyway, really like the story. I'm so glad I picked it up. I've seen this manga series before, and so yeah, definitely a worth to read in my opinion. It's not very like gory, if that makes sense, but I think it's just super exciting to read about these two, that they have such a big in common when it comes to monster. So that was our main guy, Duke of Galbraith, and Malfiria. Yeah, they definitely like each other, but yeah, there's definitely, of course, romance. It's all about monster and eating monsters. So wow, that's really nice. Anyway, guys, really good story so far. Can't wait to read more. All right, I'm gonna end this reading log. I decided to add Mama there because I'm still trying to find a place for her, but you know what, I think it's gonna be adorable next to the manga. So this reading log, yeah, it seems short, but I feel like it's a big accomplishment reading only first volume. And you know what, even though some didn't really impress me too much, but of course I'm gonna still read and see where the story goes. So let's start with Night for Travelers. This was not bad. It's kind of like cute little adventure around the neighborhood. We got Past the Monster Meet My Lady. Of course I like this because it's all about eating, and well, it might sound like, you know, a little bit too much, especially if you're gonna eat monster, but you know what, anything when it comes to food, you just gotta enjoy it. The next one's called God Bless the Mistaken. This one was very unexpected. I didn't know it was gonna be something unusual, but really good unusual like events. And then we have Kagorabarachi. Now this one was also unexpected. I thought it was going to be historical, but no, it's in the modern time but with sorceries. So definitely looking forward with Kagorabarachi. I can see why there's a lot of hype on that. Next we have Toradora. This one was very chaotic, but you know what, I'm gonna give it another chance. And then we have a romance one called My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. This one, I'm gonna say there's sort of like an age, it's not like a big age gap difference, but the thing is, he's still in high school, and she's what, in her 20s or early 20s, I'm not sure. But you know what, I'm just gonna see where the story goes, and we'll see how the romance also gonna end up. And then we have Virgin Love. This was cute, and well, I feel the romance a little bit fast, but you know what, it is a short series, so we'll see. And then lastly, The Elusive Samurai. I've always wanted to read this series, so I finally did. This was a little bit like a lot of enthusiasm, but you know what, it's still fun to read. It's a big fantasy, so every single series has something to offer. I really like it, and yeah, I'm so glad that I'm doing this because I just have a lot of first volume, and at the same time I've been just trying to only get first volumes, so this way, in case I don't like the story, I'm not stuck with like a lot of volumes. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about these first volume series. Have you read them? Do you like it or not? Let me know in the comment below. But anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.